Let's talk about the types of data we'll be dealing with in our statistics class. Notice we've got two different types. We have qualitative data and quantitative data. Quantitative data is something you likely are completely comfortable with. You've been using essentially in all of your math classes prior to this. So quantitative data is numeric data that is a count or a measurement or something with those along those lines. A count, measurement, etc. And that's what you're likely used to using in math classes, quantitative data. Notice I made in bold the quant. People often call people who work with quantitative data, they often call them quants. So that's what you're probably used to. You may not be used to working with qualitative data. Qual, Q-U-A-L. Qualitative data is sets of data that are labels or names, something along those lines. So for example, eye color, it varies across people. Someone might have blue eyes, another person might have hazel, another might have brown. It is data that varies. However, it is not quantitative. For example, blue plus hazel equals brown. That's nonsense. It doesn't make any sense at all. So qualitative data are data that are labels, names, etc. And also, one other thing to quickly mention about quantitative data, arithmetic should make sense. And I'll tell you what I mean with that in the next slide. Arithmetic should make sense. Some sort of arithmetic. Again, that's part of the quantitative data. So in statistics, we'll be dealing with quantitative and qualitative data. We ultimately need to be able to tell whether a variable represents quantitative data or qualitative data. Let's look at a few examples. Is car make an example of a qualitative variable or a quantitative variable? So for example, what types of values make up car make? So for example, you could have a Toyota, a Ford, Honda, etc. So we got to look at these data points, and are these numeric counts or measurements of some sorts, or are they labels or names? They're clearly labels, names, right? Toyota's a name, Ford's a name. So car make is a qualitative, Q-U-A-L, is a qualitative variable. What about shoe size? So for example, here you could have somebody with a size 7, size 8, size 9, so on and so forth, size 10. Are 7, 8, 9, and 10, are those qualitative data or quantitative data? Are they simply names, or is that a count of some sort, a measurement? Well, your shoe size is a measurement of how long your foot is. So it's not simply a name, it's actually a measurement. So shoe size is a quantitative variable. How about atom width? The width of an atom is a measurement of length. Of course, they're really small numbers. Any measurement of length is quantitative. How about zoo animals? Well, different types of zoo animals, cheetah, tiger, lion. Those are all examples of qualitative data. And finally, is jersey number qualitative or quantitative? This one you have to be careful with. So for example, let's say on a particular basketball team, you've got number 7, number 22, and number 41. Those are numbers, but do they represent a count or a measurement in some way? Could you, for example, say 7 plus 22, number 29 has some sort of meaning? Player number 7 plus player number 22 equals player number 29. That makes absolutely no sense. So even though these are numbers, they're really names. Number 7 is essentially an alternate name for the person. So jersey numbers are actually qualitative data. Now you may be wondering, how do we do any sort of computations involving qualitative data? Well, people do this kind of thing all the time. Perhaps somebody wants to know, is there a connection between the type of car that somebody drives, and their average annual salary. Right? For example, maybe a uh, a researcher is assuming that somebody that drives a Ferrari probably makes a lot more money than somebody makes or drives a Ford, for example. So you would need to see if there's a connection between the qualitative data, the car make, and the quantitative data, the average salary of the person per year. This is an example of one type of typical question that people want to be able to answer in statistics.